This episode of Coronavirus North Carolina News Brief is brought to you by Right By You Mortgage. Wherever life takes you, we're right by you. Visit rightbyyouMortgage.com/podcast to learn more.
From WRAL News and the Capital Broadcasting Podcast Network, this is your Coronavirus North Carolina News Brief for Wednesday, November 18th, 2020. I'm Brian Schrader. We begin with another major development in the search for a coronavirus vaccine. Pfizer says a final analysis shows that its vaccine was 95% effective at preventing infections, even in older adults. The company said the vaccine caused no serious safety concerns. Pfizer says now it's going to seek emergency use authorization from the FDA within days, and it hopes to have 50 million doses ready by the end of the year. Pfizer's hoping to have 1.3 billion doses ready in 2021. As we get closer to a vaccine, infectious disease expert Dr. Ralph Barrick of UNC Chapel Hill says his lab has discovered a mutated version of coronavirus. It's much more prolific than the original, but also shows more vulnerabilities to the potential vaccines being developed. Barrick spoke with WRAL's David Crabtree about the new research and the success on the vaccine front.
Well, we've identified a new variant that has emerged in human populations. The original virus that came out of Wuhan, China, developed a mutation in Italy in late February, early March 2020. And that mutation was in the spike-glycoprotein, and now that strain is the dominant strain worldwide. In fact, most of the East Coast, including New York City, was seeded with these strains from this variant that emerged in Southern Europe. What we did was to study the impact of that mutation on virus replication and transmissibility, and we basically showed three things. First, we showed that mutation allows the virus to grow much higher titer in your nose, where it's appropriately positioned to be transmitted. Second, we showed that it could outcompete the original Wuhan strain in head-to-head comparisons in cells derived from your nose. And so you put them in the same culture at the same time, this new variant outgrows the old variant every single time. And then finally, using hamsters as models with some collaborators at University of Wisconsin-Madison, we showed that the new variant was much more efficiently and rapidly transmitted from one hamster to another by airborne transmission. And so this virus is more transmissible and spreads rapidly in human populations. Now, the good news is that it doesn't look like it's more pathogenic. And the other good piece of news is it looks like it's more vulnerable to the current vaccines that were made than the ancestral strain. And so that's really good news.
Does this mean that the Biden administration is going to see COVID-21?
It's hard to make a prediction about the length of the pandemic. Certainly a lot of it depends on the reception of the American public and other government nationalities in terms of the people in those countries, in terms of their willingness to take the vaccine. If we have high vaccine success rates, over 70%, I think the pandemic potential of this virus will wane. There'll be low levels of endemic disease, but big pandemic outbreaks, we will have seen the last of them. And the duration of the pandemic is going to be dependent on how quickly we can get vaccines to the developing world. I think Europe, the United States, Southeast Asia, Japan, wealthy nations in the world will immediately get this vaccine. But other nations in the world it's going to take longer to get those vaccines there. And so this is going to continue into 2021. But it should be, again, if the American public will take the vaccine, I think we'll be moving beyond this pandemic by the end of the summer, beginning of the fall.
This has been your Coronavirus North Carolina News Brief for Wednesday, November 18th, 2020. Let us know what you think of the podcast. Leave a rating or review wherever you listen, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a new episode. I'm Brian Schrader. Thanks for listening.
When it comes to buying a new home, you want to know that you're in good hands. At Right By You Mortgage, the dedicated team of lenders live in your community and are committed to being right by you every step of the way. Whether you're a growing family, a relocating professional, or a retiring couple, they'll partner with you to find the right loan to fit your unique home buying needs. Plus, listeners of this podcast will enjoy the Right By You Mortgage on-time closing guarantee. They promise to close on time or they'll pay you and the seller $500. Visit rightbyyouMortgage.com/podcast to take advantage of this offer. Wherever life takes you, we're right by you. Go to rightbyyoumortgage.com/podcast for full details. Equal housing lender, NMLS number 402136.